What's up, Dallas? I have a fabulous guest on my show, Miss Janet. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Awesome. I just wanted to tell you, Janet and I connected through Facebook through a podcasters chat and their page. And when Janet was telling me about all the stuff that she is doing in her community, all the way from North Carolina, naturally I had to show some love.
I'm glad you did.
Absolutely. So, for number one, your business that you have, Blue Jay Cleaning Solutions, it's not just a business, it's purpose. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. So, can you tell our viewers a little bit about Blue Jay Cleaning Solutions and why it's so unique?
Well, it started at Blue Jay Cleaning Solutions in 2012, and it didn't start out as a social business employing people with autism. Excuse me. That came later, but today it is a business that I kept from 2012 to 2021.
Mhm.
I sold it in 2021 and it predominantly employed people with autism. And during that 9-year period, I developed systems and processes so that this business model that I had developed in 2012 would become a duplicable business model that I could pass on to other people to start a cleaning company in their community, predominantly employing people on the spectrum. So
Okay.
it's a social enterprise,
Mhm.
a business for profit that addresses a social need, which is the high unemployment rate of those on the spectrum. So today I promote the business. I have a consulting company, Blue Jay Consulting, and Blue Jay Business in a Box. The blueprint, the model is under that umbrella.
Mhm. And I love that too. Just to see and read about how it's making a difference and also bringing people awareness to autism and that those on the spectrum, you're employing them too, so they're not left behind, income wise. I think that's really beautiful. So I was reading here that you said like in 2012, it was the biggest struggle and frustration finding employees that could clean to a process and be dependable, committed, and detail oriented. Now, I do understand that um, that are on the spectrum, they are very detail oriented. They are, they are committed. They are dependable because they do focus on what they're doing. So the fact that you're bringing this to light and it's also creating a new business model, I'm loving it, Janet. I really am.
You are encouraging me so much. I really appreciate that. Because,
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, this business model plays to their strengths.
Mhm.
And having not found, employees that would um, do as I was needing them to do. Because I was establishing a business, a cleaning business that would offer consistency to clients, which was something that in the cleaning world, they lacked consistency. And people on the spectrum brought that consistency to our company, which
Mhm.
is what I needed. And they needed a job. So it was a win-win for everyone.
I'm seeing that. And
Yeah.
you said that you sold the company a while back and it's still going. Like you're still
Yeah.
progressing, you're still involved in it. And I just, just seeing this because I know so many people with autism and because I know that it affects them all the time, it affects the way they live. People don't understand it. They don't understand autism. They like treat it like a disease, but it's not a disease. It's, they think different. They
It was, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. On that line, I had an employee, his name was Joe, and he helped me put all of this was up here
Mhm,
um, on paper and documents.
mhm,
And we had, in developing this prototype, because I wrote all the systems down and all the protocols and all the processes with the help of our small community college, the Small Business Administration, Joe, myself, and a small college in a nearby town. We all collaborated and were able to put all that was up here on paper so that it can
Mhm.
be in a document to hand over to someone else. So I say all that to say that Joe, along with other employees that I had on the spectrum, they gave me great insight as to how
Mhm.
they thought.
Mhm.
And I have been told recently, actually, that I might be on the spectrum myself, and that might be why that we understand each other.
Mhm.
But Joe and others were able to tell me how it's best to communicate with them and how they saw the world.
Mhm.
We have a training video, just to give an example. We have a training video that Joe developed, and I gave him that task. I said, because he told me that it seemed to me, Rachel, that people on the spectrum, they saw the world in a whimsical type way. And
Mhm.
so I had the idea that what if we were develop a training video on our cleaning processes using characters in
Mhm.
order to show how to clean. So we had a character that would show how to clean a window, or had a character that would show how to clean a bathroom. And so I proposed that to Joe. Joe was very intelligent. And so I said, Joe, do you think you could do that? He said, I don't know. I've never done anything like that before. But he did. He he did it. He taught himself and developed our training video. And that's just one example that I had expectations of them. And that's kind of what Blue Jay, it was giving them an opportunity to just show what they're made of. And
Mhm.
there's a lot going on up here than people give them credit.
Mhm. Man, I'm thankful for Joe, for him being able to help train others that learn the same way he does. And I think that's amazing. Like, people that are on the spectrum are super smart. Like, they are way smarter. Like, they see things like a little bit, maybe a little bit louder or a little bit brighter, a little bit more colorful. Maybe they're more sensitive to something that's around them, like texture. They may, it's just I know this because I have 2 grandchildren right now that are on the spectrum. I have a cousin. I have on my cousin should say on my mom's side, my
Mhm.
uncle has 5 kids that are on the spectrum.
Wow.
And so, we have a lot of experience with it and that everybody learns differently. So I'm just like reading this. I'm on your website right now. And can you explain for our viewers how you came to terms with the name Blue Jay?
Yeah. Yeah, and let me just back up for just a minute, and just to kind of tag on to what you were saying, a different way of thinking. Joe, my employee, and it's in our on our website somewhere,
Mhm.
that Joe said it's not that we think, it's just a parallel track of thinking. And so that's kind of how we approached autism, is it's a parallel track of thinking. So I thought that was pretty cool. I've never thought of it like that. But again, Joe gave me a lot of insight.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. In 2012, I started Blue Jay as a means out of a unexpected life-changing event, and as a means to make a living for myself. And
Mhm.
so I knew that because when I was a single mother in years prior, I would teach, because I was a former special ed teacher, and clean houses on the side. So I knew I was good at cleaning, very detailed. I could do it, but I didn't like it. But what I did like was having my own business. I always tried different home-based businesses, Prior, I always had that entrepreneurial spirit, but never, nothing really, stuck. So when I
Mhm.
was faced with this, I knew I couldn't go back in the classroom.
Mhm.
I would be like a bird in a cage because I had a taste of what it was like to be an entrepreneur with my second husband's business. And I saw a lot of things that I would enjoyed as a part of that, and I was in my zone with. So
Mhm.
I could not go back in the classroom. And so I knew I also wanted to be eco-friendly.
Mhm.
And so we came up with the name Blue, which meant in the beginning for clean, and
Mhm.
J stands for Janet, my name. So no reference to the bird at all. But when it
Mhm.
came, and see, this is how just things were just put, I mean, I not even knowing it, not even
Mhm.
knowing it, things were just put into place. But would
Mhm.
later make sense down the road. So there was a plan, but I didn't know what the plan was. Um, so after a year and a half of not being able to find a reliable employee base, it became apparent to me, and just crying out, where are my employees? And that's literally what I said.
Mhm.
The epiphany occurred to me that you need to look at people on the spectrum. And so after, talking to people that I knew and in that world, it became apparent. The lady told me then, my friend who was connected with Autism Speaks,
Mhm.
she told me then, and that was in 2013, 2014. She said, Janet, you are going to see a lot more businesses like yours, whether it be social enterprise or nonprofits, starting up, because for so long the emphasis was research on what
Mhm.
causes autism. But she said now the emphasis is employment, because these
Mhm.
children early diagnosed are now adults. They grow up and they get in the workforce and there's nothing for them. They're not trained, they're not prepared, and there's no
Mhm.
jobs. So I created my opportunity for myself to make a living. And Blue Jay is really an opportunity that has been created for them,
Mhm.
that fits their skill set. And then it became obvious then that blue stood for autism awareness. And it was the very same color as autism awareness color. So everything was starting to fall into place.
Mhm. Oh, and I love that too. So, first off, I do want to give a shout out to Autism Speaks, because that is a fantastic organization bringing awareness to the autism spectrum and the parents, encouraging them to the kids, always constantly pushing them for awareness. So, shout out to them real quick, because I do follow them. I am very passionate about them, very, very much about them. But I was That's something that you said that I wanna kind of piggyback on, is the fact that when you say that, people on the spectrum, they grow up and they go into the workforce, you know, the workforce has not been kind to people with autism. Not I'm just saying because of my own experience, they don't know how to train them. They don't know how to relate to them. A lot of the businesses out there, they're like old school businesses where they'd be like, "You're gonna have to train a certain way. This is how we do it." So the fact that this model is out here, that you're doing this, that there are people that are recognizing it and using it to their potential, the employees, to create finances and income and stability and a way of life. That is so encouraging. Like, I wish more people would actually realize that they need to work too. Of course. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. I'm all about this. I'm fully supporting this whole thing.
Love it. I needed that boost. You don't know. Um, and they can, and it's a chance for them to grow in their career.
Mhm.
Um, and it's important to note that the ones when I decided, okay, I'm going to put it out there, and people with autism started Their
Mhm.
parents, their family members would find out about me and they would reach out. A family did find us on the internet up here in Charlotte area. They did a big piece on us on one of the news channels here. We've had a couple of articles written about us. So word was starting to get out that we were doing that.
Mhm.
And it was their first job that they've ever had.
Mhm.
And so it allowed them to come into a culture that I have developed, a culture within the company that fostered independence because I was
Mhm.
all about that.
Mhm.
If you couldn't work independently, if you couldn't learn how to work independently, then you weren't ready at this point to do this. But what I
Mhm.
found, Rachel, is that they could work independently. They just weren't given chances to.
Mhm.
That I felt that we have too often um, caused them to be Q dependent instead
Mhm.
of independent thinkers and being
Mhm.
given opportunities to problem solve. And, do you know what I mean by Q dependent?
I do.
And
Yes.
I feel like that is a disservice
Mhm.
because they do process slower and
Mhm.
that given the chance to think it through and problem solve, I've seen it, when given and fostered that environment for them to do so, they do it.
Mhm.
They don't need someone. I mean, we do our own training. Of course, everyone needs to be trained on the
Right.
job, but to have someone there to hold your hand, that's
Mhm.
dehumanizing
Mhm.
and not really appreciative. The adults, they don't really appreciate that.
Mhm.
They thrive in an environment in which things are expected of them
Mhm.
and they're given chances to show what they're made of and perform and move up in their career. Start out as a cleaning associate, but work up to team leader. Work
Mhm.
up to being in charge of the keys, of
Mhm.
several offices,
Mhm.
given responsibility, and then building a resume, gaining enough confidence where you are able to get your license to drive, and then you're able to drive other team members to jobs.
Mhm.
You don't have a ride to work, and these are actual things.
Mhm.
You don't have a ride to work, you're not going to, in this case, Eric, he needed to get to work. He didn't call me. His mother wasn't able to take him. So what did he do? He problem solved and he got on the computer and looked up
Mhm.
the bus route and he got to his job. And that was shocking. Eric didn't say much, but when
Mhm.
Eric did say something, it was profound. So that's what I'm saying. Given the opportunity to man up, he was being responsible. He
Yeah.
got himself to work, you know, and took the
Mhm.
vacuum cleaner with him to boot because we were very lean financially
Mhm.
in the beginning. And we had one vacuum cleaner and Eric was on a lot of the jobs. And so he took the vacuum cleaner with him to work on that bus. But there
Mhm.
are several inspiring stories that, you know, having gone through the Blue Jay rank, if you will, they
Mhm.
have been able to go out into the workforce and work at jobs better suited for their interest. You
Mhm.
know, like Eric, I don't know what Eric's doing now because his mother died and he had to move away. And when he did move, that left a big void in our company. It took
Mhm.
us a while to recover because we depended on Eric for so many things. But then we have some that are working for Amazon, Federal Express, which was Adam. Adam, that was his dream job. I knew when Adam came along and he started working for Blue Jay, he's the one who eventually got his license to drive, that he just wasn't going to work. That wasn't what he wanted as a career. That
Mhm.
his dream job was to work at Federal Express. And he
Okay.
did. He achieved that. And he wanted to get married one day. And I'm sure he's making good money. He's working full time there. So he could very well be able to support his a family.
Mm,
And prior to that, Adam was just sitting at home. He was in his
mhm,
20s. He watched his brother, younger than him, go to work, come home, and he was wishing he had a job that he could go
mm,
to. And that's how I found out about Adam. But
mhm,
it does change lives. Empowering people through the opportunity to work.
mhm. And that inspires me to keep like, also listening to the stories because you said you have some success stories. And your employees, it's like giving them their first job, but also encouraging them to do more than what they thought they were capable of doing, and then eventually growing out to a different job with these skill sets and the resume and all that kind of stuff. Like, bro, you have done some amazing things. You should be proud of yourself.
Well, thank you. I need to take a break because I need to plug my computer in. Okay.
Okay. All right.
I should have done this before.
It's
Okay.
okay. That's why we pre-record these things.
All right, now
I
we're good.
Yeah, I pre-record because anything can happen. And like maybe you might lose internet or I might lose internet, but we can always come back and I can edit it out. So that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm navigating your website, so please be patient.
I love this. I needed this encouragement. I needed this boost because I put
Mhm,
this idea on the shelf for a couple of years. Because after I
mhm.
sold my company,
Yeah.
2021, um, I've always been talking this business in a box up. I would
Mhm,
go to conferences and things like that, and oh, that's a great idea, and all, but nobody ever bought one. So I thought, I feel like I'm a visionary. I've been given a vision with
mhm,
this, and I feel like in the beginning, my job was to develop the prototype, and so that the
mhm,
businesses that start out
mhm,
from the prototype will be better than the one I started because they're
mhm,
learning. I've already gone through the learning curve. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. Learn from my mistakes. Here you go. Here's how you do it. Um, but So anyway, I put it on the shelf, and so last year, because I thought, okay, I must be delusional. Honestly,
mhm,
yeah, it's a great idea, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just, like I said, delusional. And so I later found out from someone recently that told me that a lot of times visionaries do feel delusional. When
mhm,
they have a vision for something and it's not happening, then they give up on the
mhm,
vision. So
mhm,
I just put it over there. And
mhm,
then last year, my first business in a box sold to a lady in Greensboro, which is a neighboring town.
mhm,
She had met me at a conference 5 years ago, an Autism a Society of North Carolina conference that I went to.
mhm,
She had kept my card and she called me up and she said, now I'm ready.
mhm,
She said, my son, who is autistic, he's high functioning. He had a job at the hospital, but he got fired,
mhm.
misunderstood.
Right.
And she said, I'm going to do this. We're going to do it as a family. She's a librarian. She's going to keep her day job for now, but he's an entrepreneur now.
Mhm,
And so they're just now getting it off the ground. But she told me, she said, Janet, she said, I had your card on my table. And every day I would say, I'm going to call her one day. I'm going to call her one day. I'm going to call her one day. And one day she did. And
mhm,
so unbeknownst to me, as I was giving up on
mhm,
that, I didn't know what was happening in Greensboro with her.
mhm,
And so she's thrilled. They're excited, to get started. And so that was my first one. So I say all that to say that she breathed new life into it.
Mhm.
And so not, I know that this is what I'm doing. All summer I've been doing podcasts. I'm going to start ramping it
Mhm.
up because I
I
feel like
love it.
I feel like maybe it's time now. I think that the time is now, and timing is everything. That might be a cliche,
Mhm.
but that's kind of where I'm at with it now.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I mean, I do want to say that, God gives us things. He gives us talents that, we may not know the purpose of why we're doing it. And, maybe it's not just the business that you were given, but the purpose of what you're doing. There's a lot of times when people ask me, they're like, "Hey, Rachel, what's up, Dallas? Like, that's your business, right?" And I said, "Yeah, it's my business, but it's also my purpose. Like, I'm meant to connect dots with people. I'm meant to hear their stories. I'm meant to bring light into the community. Like, that is what I do. That's my purpose. But What's Up Dallas, the magazine, is a business. So they're different, but also they go together. And I feel like this is you walking in your purpose. Your purpose is to help encourage others to have businesses like this, because I kid you not, I don't think there's one in Dallas like this at all. And Dallas is huge. So I don't know. Somebody's probably gonna be listening to it and be like, I need to reach out to Janet. 'Cause I need that business in a box.
That would be fantastic. That would be super.
Yes, but I want to encourage you that what you're doing is a purpose. That, even though we're walking in a purpose, even if it changes one life, you're doing what God has asked you to do. You're inspiring others, you're giving light to the community, that, people on the spectrum can still work, they can still do a job, they can be super successful, they're very smart and very detail oriented, because I've seen it. Um, I've seen my kids, I've seen my cousin, my cousin, when he is focused. My cousin is probably like, gosh, I want to say he's probably like 26 right now or something, but he's super focused on certain things. So he has his way. I'm not sure which part of the spectrum he's on, but you can see it. And like, his family doesn't really know how to talk to him that much, but whenever I started communicating with him, I knew that there was certain things that he absolutely loves. And one of those things was being heard. He loves dogs, he loves music, and he loves cartoons. So, just learning and giving light and inspiration. Girl, you're doing your thing. I just keep going. Just keep going.
I appreciate what you said, and you said it very well. That,
Mm.
and you just don't know because it can really get like, is anybody hear me? Just, and I am so thankful that you have inspired me. You have inspired me, by encouraging me, and I don't plan to give up.
Mhm.
I don't plan to give up, and
Mhm.
because there's too much need out there.
Mhm.
There just is. And as and the business in a box is not just office cleaning, it's small office cleaning, because that's small office is it's not it's manageable,
Mhm.
because a business is fashioned after the owner's personality. And
Mhm.
I would prefer to clean a smaller office than a
Mhm.
large hospital, or things would just get lost. So that's fashioned after, and they are the same.
Mhm.
But we also have other services that come with the box that
Mhm.
that a person can do no matter where they fall on the spectrum. Maybe you've got someone that may not be able to work independently and clean a small office, but yet could do paper shredding, or
Mhm.
yet could clean a parking lot.
Mhm.
So it meets the needs of people no matter where they fall on the spectrum, but still fostering independence, whatever that looks like for different people.
Mhm. And I love that. So, for our viewers out there, if they wanted to reach out to you, Janet, like say to get your business in a box, how could they get a hold of you?
Best way is to go to our website, which is blue, the color blue, J, the letter J, cleaningfranchise.com.
Absolutely. Y'all better go reach out to her. She is doing some big things in the community, even though a lot of people may not see it yet. She's definitely doing stuff. Somebody's gonna see this interview, Janet, and you're gonna be reached out to because you are making an impact in that community. So
Girl,
I'm
you're my best friend. Thank you.
well,
Thank you.
let's just let God do his work. Let's let him connect the dots for you that somebody's going to see this interview and be like, I really need to talk to her because I need this in my life for sure.
Gosh, thank you so much.
You're
I'm
very
flying
welcome.
high now. I'm flying high.
I'm always here to encourage. That's what What's Up Dallas Magazine's all about. We got something positive to say. Got the little exclamation mark. So,
Well, you certainly have built me up
oh,
and helped me.
God is good. That's the reason why we connect because God has put us in this spot in this moment. Maybe I said something you needed to hear, or maybe you said something I needed to hear. God knew it. He knew what we were doing. So
Yeah, because that doubt can get in there and just really mess with your head.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely. Well, I thank you for first of all your obedience to doing what God has called you to do to help this
thank you.
community and to keep going with your business because only God knows what you're doing and he sees it. Even if you may not think people see it, God sees it. And you got
Thank you,
this.
Rachel. Thank you.
All right, viewers, we're going to be back with another interview coming up. See you later.